Hello everyone and welcome back to the Paddocks. Today we're going to be doing something fun and we're going to be focusing on the rookies on the track. Well, not really rookies anymore, but you know what I mean, it's all we have. On the episode we have Amy, Rachel, Hannah, and myself Chelsea, and we're going to start off with a shout out to one of our fave, the American on the track, Logan Sargeant.
I don't even know where to start at this point. It is rough in the trenches being a Logan Sargeant fan. I feel so bad for him. Honestly, he doesn't deserve the treatment that he's been getting from Williams. I feel like he's been improving a lot and they're just not acknowledging that. And it feels icky. He's been keeping up with Alex ever since he got the same spec car, because he's been running with 2023 parts for the majority of the beginning of the season up until I think Silverstone. And he's been doing pretty decent. He had the 2023 rear wing for Monaco, which is insane. And sure, he's not out qualifying Alex, but Alex has 4 more years in F1 on him, and he was part of the Red Bull Junior program, which, we all know how Red Bull is with their juniors. And he's out qualified Checo 7 times, which is insane.
Honestly, when you put it in perspective like that, it makes me wonder, while I love Logan all the way, it's hard not to think, was this too soon for him to make that jump into F1? And would he have benefited from a very similar, the Red Bull program?
It was absolutely too soon. It was 100% too soon. Williams has said that themselves. And he was in their junior program. He was a Williams junior driver. But they brought him up because they didn't want to be Mercedes development team anymore. And so they brought up pretty much their only driver that had enough super license points to be in F1, and he wasn't ready. He should have done at least 1 more year in F2. And it's very similar to me as to how Mick was, because I do think that Mick kind of went into F1 a little bit too soon, and it's a very similar circumstance where they just jumped the gun and kind of bit him in the ass.
That's the kicker for me, at least, is the fact that Logan has outqualified Checo, who was driving literally the equivalent of a rocket ship, and he's outqualified him 7 times, but Logan currently doesn't have a seat for next year. It just doesn't make sense to me. I will 1000% die on the hill that if Williams had waited a year longer to bring Logan into F1, things would have been totally different for him. Rachel and I could talk about this until we are blue in the face because we ride or die for our boy Logan. But we both hate the way Williams has treated him. It's just been a hot mess. It's downright mean, if I'm being really honest, especially the more information that comes out from the Williams camp. I don't know why James Vowles has all of a sudden forgotten his PR training, but that just went out the window. I really think Williams screwed Logan over because he just wasn't ready. Everybody knew he wasn't ready. The move never made sense. They could have totally put somebody else in the car for a year and it would have been a different situation for Logan. But we are where we are.
And then, obviously, for the people listening, if you're not aware, I know Rachel has a list of things that Williams did to Logan, because there are receipts. We're not just talking to talk.
Like I said, he's been running with 2023 parts. He did Monaco with the 2023 rear wing. His car has been heavier than Alex's, literally up until 3 races ago. And I know that a lot of that, the technical parts, are not necessarily with malicious intent because Williams just doesn't have money. We know this. They didn't have a third chassis until Miami. They have no money. But he shouldn't be harangued for problems that he is not at fault for. He's not the reason they have no money right now. He's the one being punished for Alex crashing his car in Australia. Make it make sense. I know Alex had slightly more potential to get points, but did he get points? No, he didn't. And at this point, it's not even really about Logan's performance anymore. It's the fact that how he is being treated, not talking to James Vowles, being ignored by people, being like walking around the paddock by himself, which one of our other lovely girls witnessed herself in Austria. He's just like by himself with nobody. That's just not how you treat people. That's not how you treat your employees. That's not how you treat a person in general, no matter how cutthroat the sport is. Even Christian Horner didn't treat Alex and Pierre this bad, and that's saying something. Even Haas, and this is hard for me to say, even Haas was nicer to Mick. And you have to try that. That is really saying something, because I really hate the way that Haas treated Mick. It was so shitty, and the fact that James Vowles is being worse, I don't even know how. At this point, with all of the talk of Logan being dropped mid-season, that would be merciful, because I can't even imagine what being in such a toxic environment is doing to his mental health. But hey, it's on us for trusting a Gemini man to keep his word. As much as I would absolutely love to see Logan stay in F1, I think these past 2 seasons have really shown Formula One and a lot of the Formula One community's true colors when it comes to Americans. But that is a whole other rant for another time. I hope Logan goes to IndyCar. I think he'll be appreciated and supported in his development as a driver. And I think it'll be so much better for him. And I would love to see him just shine, because he deserves it.
Rachel is 100% right. F1 is just not ready for American drivers or a very American team, because while Haas technically is an American team, nothing about Haas gives American team vibes. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. I know Haas fans in real life, they're the least patriotic US-based team I've ever seen in any sport, ever. It's hilarious. But I, for one, am really manifesting the Andretti IndyCar seat for Logan, because when, not if, when they enter Formula One, Logan can be their number one guy, and he can just, like, you know, wipe the floor with Williams, because why not? Is that a little petty? Maybe, but that shouldn't really surprise anybody when it comes to me. The more information that has come out about James and Carlos's Williams deal, the more I'm just kind of like, how did none of us see this coming? Because James has seriously thrown all of his PR training out of the window and just told everybody who will listen that he always planned on not keeping Logan. And it just makes me want to scream. I really and truly want the best for Logan, and I hope that his support system just really rallies around him. I hope that this summer break is good for him. He can get his head clear and come back refreshed. But James Vowles, we got to have some words, because what do you mean you've been wanting Carlos or talking to Carlos about the seat for like 8 to 9 months? The math doesn't math. I don't understand. A, how did this not get out to the public? But B, like, why would you not just, like, give Logan a hint, tell him straight up so he can start looking elsewhere? Because I think if he had known that they were looking at Carlos, Logan would have looked elsewhere and maybe would have already had a contract with a different team. I don't know.
No, I 1000% agree. I would love to see him drive for Andretti and Indy. And then when, like you said, when they get into F1, because they will, they bring him in and he just kills it. Because he has the experience. He knows what he's doing. Let him be petty. I am so tired of the Europeans ragging on Americans in the F1 space like we don't deserve to be here, when we deserve to be here just as much as you do. And honestly, F1 needs the American market. They need the fangirls, because the sport was dying before. There was not a lot of money coming in, and it's an expensive sport. We know this. I would love to take a step further in the pettiness, and I would love to see Darlington Capital pull all of their money from Williams, but that might be a little too far, but I think it would be great. As for James Vowles, for someone who was probably trained by the Mercedes PR team, bro, what are you doing? Like, what is happening? I think it's extremely telling how he's been having these conversations and meetings with Carlos and his team for, like you said, 8 to 9 months, while telling people, oh no, we're standing behind Logan. Even if that was just in the beginning of the season, how are you going to... 8 to 9 months ago was December. Like, December, January. How are you going to, at the beginning of the season, say, we're standing behind Logan while you're talking to another driver trying to get him on your team in Logan's seat? It's giving Mean Girl, honestly. It's giving Mean Girl. And honestly, with that being said, if I were Alex, I would be questioning how I could trust someone who is so comfortable straight up lying like that. Like, that is such a big, I don't know, it's just me. It just feels so shady. And I don't know if I were the other driver, I don't know if I would be able to trust my team principal after that, because like, you're so comfortable hiding these things from one of your drivers. How do I know you're not going to do it to me too? You know, that's just, it's shady.
So there are so many things I would love to say about the Carlos contract, because it's like, I love Carlos, but that was a really interesting situation. But Logan going to Indy is probably just going to be the best choice for him overall, because Formula One, as we know, is like definitely cutthroat, and that isn't something new, honestly. I mean, someone comes into the sport either before they're ready, like Logan, or sometimes, obviously an opinion, but like past their prime, like Nick. Like if he would have come in earlier, I think he would have done better. And Logan will probably thrive in Indy, because after like meeting him and getting the autograph, from Williams, like it was so worth it, obviously, because he only had this limited time in F1. And as the Florida girl in the group, I just felt really proud to like have someone on the track who raced at the same track I would visit all the time growing up with my family. So it was really cool. And like, I don't really like express it a lot because I don't really care to, but I feel like I'm definitely one of his like number one fans up in here in Florida, because Florida is so messy with Formula One. You know that if you go to the Miami GP. And I mean, even they don't root for Logan sometimes, which is so annoying. But I skipped work to get that autograph, so I'll always have a special place in my heart for that man. And I really hope that he does well, because when I like think of this sport, there's like probably going to be another driver that can do better with Logan leaving. That's the gist of it. That's why he's leaving, because we assume whoever is going to come next is going to be better. And honestly, something can be said about any of them that's going to be coming in. But Logan got his chance. And let's face it, we love him. We love Logan, and he did deserve more time. But the Williams car was probably not the team that was going to do it for him anyways. So it's better to move on. And I love Carlos, truly. Everyone in this freaking group chat knows how much I love that Spanish man. But if we're being honest, I hope Williams goes well for him. Obviously, I think it was a goal for him to like race for all three of like the most historic teams in Formula One. And I'm glad he got to achieve that, because we don't know where he's going to end up after Williams, obviously, especially since it was like a weird way they released the contract with like 26 and beyond or whatever. So like I hope good things for Logan. Sadly, I don't think he would come back to Formula One. I think his time has passed. But I think he can obviously kick ass in IndyCar. And I'm so excited, because now I'm going to have a chance to actually see him drive in IndyCar and probably kick ass, because all the PGP girls can go. That shit's cheap. You guys, if you're listening, you should go to an IndyCar race. You can even go into the grid and everything. And you can meet Pato O'Ward, which is a whole different subject.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin to start unpacking my thoughts and feelings on this, to be honest with you. He just deserves a team that values him and will put him on equal territory with his teammate or teammates at the same time, versus saying, oh, 6 months later you're going to get something while he's already been there. I feel like if you're going to give it, let them both compete against each other on equal grounds. But that's just my personal thoughts. I think Logan will be good in IndyCar, back on U.S. territory, around friends, around family, and people who won't treat him like he's an outsider. Sorry to everybody in Europe, but y'all have not been great to Logie. And I don't want to believe his racing career could be over in hopes it's just the beginning of a new chapter. Williams did give Logan 2 years, I will say that, because a lot of people thought after year 1 he was going to be out. So I will say at least they gave him another year to prove to himself, or half a year because silly season has just begun. But I will say James has given me slimy vibes these past few months with everything that's just kind of unraveled. And I don't know how I feel about that, because last year I actually loved James and how he was going about things and his upfront honesty in the podcast and things like that. And now I'm like, keep you at arm's length or over the pond, please. I was happy to see him last year in COTA, I will say, like Jill said, on the grid walk, and hopes that Williams is going to be good for Carlos since he's replacing Logan. I think it's time will tell, but I'm optimistic for both futures, and if Logan is in the US, then there's more time to potentially get to see him and see him thrive in a sport that is going to treat him right. Going to treat him right. I'm saying into the universe.
Now, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum almost, we have Oscar Piastri. This man has had an absolute banger of a season so far, and it's been really kind of fun to watch. I am definitely a newer Oscar Piastri fan. Ironically, I can say that I'm more of a fan of him because I love his mom. I think Nicole is an icon, but like I have now feel like I'm forced to root for her kid because I just love her reaction. So I'm like, no, I have to support him. It has to happen. But I also think a lot of Oscar's success, especially if you're comparing him to Logan, has to do with the fact that McLaren gave him a car that can compete. It's a competitive car this season. It's like really competitive. We've seen them on podiums pretty consistently. I'm really excited to see where the rest of his season goes, but I think if you compare him to Logan, because they're the only two kind of newer guys, it's such an unfair comparison because the cars are polar opposites. You've got one that's actually capable of giving you a P1 or a P2 or a P3, and then you've got another car that has like issues finishing races. So I'm really excited to see where the rest of Oscar's season goes, because I think we have a lot more Oscar Piastri podiums in our future, and I really, really cannot wait.
No, Oscar's absolutely killing it. I have to support a fellow Aries. We love our Aries people. He's definitely not regretting that decision to go to McLaren and not stay with Alpine, for sure. And another part of like when it comes to comparing Oscar to Logan and why it's an unfair comparison is Oscar had so much more time testing Formula One cars at Alpine and doing free practice sessions than Logan ever got. He had like maybe a total of like 2 or 3 days, if that. And that is something that James Vowles has said. So insane. I also absolutely love Oscar's race engineer taking a selfie with the podium in the background every single time Oscar is on the podium. It is the cutest thing. I need that tradition to keep going, and I think it will, because I do think Oscar's going to keep getting podiums. I think he's going to get more race wins. He absolutely deserves it. He's a fantastic driver. I love how calm he is. He's just like the most chill guy, and like his reactions are like, yeah, cool, thanks guys. Okay. supposedly McLaren is bringing more upgrades after the summer break. So if McLaren stays on the track that they're on and Ferrari doesn't get their shit together, which they probably won't, I definitely think we could see Oscar on the World Drivers' Champion podium with Lando. Whether that's a McLaren 1-2 or a third place, I think it could be a 1-2 with the way Red Bull's going, but only time will tell. I think he's going to kill it no matter what. Even last season when they were basically driving a tractor, he was doing really well. And I think that says a lot.
No, I honestly think Oscar is literally hanging out like his second season the way people would pray for if they went into Formula One. His first season was bomb, obviously, we know that now, but his second season, I think, has truly like hit the mark that McLaren is a fighting team in Formula One, and like they will be a top team because like just some updates. This kid has snagged points in basically every race besides I think Miami. I don't think he got points there. There was 5 podiums already, including his maiden win. Second year already got his win, and he won a sprint race podium. And he's just consistently stayed high in quality. You know, this is literally, it's no question that Oscar deserves to be in Formula One right now. And it's definitely with McLaren where he should stay.
I think McLaren has given these drivers exactly what they need in order to do a successful job in racing. I'm not comparing them as like individuals. I'm comparing this as their driving skills. Oscar, for some reason, gives me very young Max Verstappen vibes. He came in here to win it, to succeed, and has so much potential. And I definitely can see him being a world champion in a few years, if not the next year. Just seeing how he's literally come in and dominated this year. McLaren has improved the car so much and finally is great for Lando and Oscar, who is fighting together, and it's wonderful to see the season how it's become. And honestly, while Oscar is so timid, his mom does make up for it in a lot of ways, and I think Lando and Oscar very much complement each other, and it's great to have that and to see that dynamic in Formula One, because you don't get that very often in such a cutthroat sport.
Now, those are our technically rookies because they're the only newer people on the grid. Now we're going to move on to the rookies we are excited to see and the rookies we hope to see in 2025 next year on the grid. Starting with Ollie Behrman, the most precious, adorable guy ever. He's so sweet. I'm so excited for him to join the grid. His performance when he replaced Carlos was incredible. I mean, just he had like 45 minutes of practice in the car. He woke up that day thinking he was gonna start pulling the F2 race, gets to the track, it's like, oh no, you're driving Ferrari because Carlos is sick. Insane. I do feel bad for his dad. That poor man is going to be so stressed out. He was so stressed out when Ollie was racing in place of Carlos. Just gonna say send some positive vibes for him next season for sure. I'm a little concerned because of Haas's track record with rookies, but with the new team principal, there's a little bit of hope. I hope, fingers crossed, having Esteban as a teammate might counteract that.
Rachel, we are going to manifest that like new team principal means new and or different environment. I'm just going to speak that into existence because I really hope that that's what it means. We all know how Haas and rookies went the last time, so we're going to just keep everything crossed, say a prayer, manifest it, whatever works for you. Please, we cannot have a repeat, guys. I have always been a massive, massive Ollie Behrman fan, especially in F2, so I'm really excited to watch him on the grid next year. But I swear to God, if Haas does what they've done in the past, I will absolutely riot. I know I said it on one of our last episodes, but Esteban Ocon will be a fine teammate until he feels threatened, which at least with how we saw Ollie and the Ferrari, will be probably pretty freaking fast. So I'm a little worried about how that's going to go. But we've also never seen Esteban with an actual rookie before. So this will be just a very new, uncharted kind of relationship dynamic for him to have as a teammate. He's always had a teammate who was either like this same age as him with Pierre or close to his age, or older when he was teamed with Fernando. So I'm really interested to see how that works with a younger driver. We're going to find out. But Haas, if you screw Oliver Bierman over, it is absolutely on site. You will not be safe.
So I do forget sometimes that Amy loves Ollie, so Haas should actually have fear. I say we hope for the best, but I will say I have a little fear. I only worry because Esteban is definitely someone that wants to win, and I think beyond that he will choose winning over being a good teammate. And that has happened in the past, and that's fine, because at the end of the day, the world championship is not about teams. It's about like literally winning. And we see that sometimes when teammates fight, like Charles and Carlos and Lando and Oscar. It happens. Esty just is someone that if he thinks someone is maybe less of a better driver than him, which because he probably thinks most people are, he will probably want to win. And I think that's the only thing. He has a bit of an ego, and it gets to him, and it gets in the way of him possibly being a good teammate. I'm hoping because he's a rookie, he'll take it easy on him. But I also think Esteban's the kind of person to be like, I don't care that you're a rookie. You're still just another F1 driver. So we'll see. I like to hope for the best, but I'm a very realistic person, and I will expect the worst.
Now, this thought popped into my head as we were recording, and it's the TikTok audio of he's just a guy, hit him with your car, because that will be Esteban Ocon with Oliver Bierman. I will literally put money on the fact that at least within the first 3 to 4 races, maybe the first 5, that Esteban Ocon is absolutely taking Oliver Bierman out and putting that kid in the wall. It's just bound to happen. I'm sorry. I hate to say it, but the likelihood is very, very high.
I swear to God, if Esteban touches Ollie in the slightest, I'm booking a one-way flight with the expectation of me not being able to come back because I'm going to be so bad. And Ollie is loved by a lot. Like, let's be honest. He has shown himself, and when he raced in Baku, he blew me away. Like, I was not on the Ollie bandwagon at first, and then I saw him race and kick ass, and I was like, oh, maybe I've been on the wrong train this whole time. And I was so happy that he was officially given a seat and given the opportunity. Now I'm a little torn on the whole Haas thing, but maybe it's because I just worry about him being treated, especially how they treated Mick, let's be honest, in the past. But Gunther isn't there anymore, so I'm hoping for the best because it could have been the issue because of Gunther. I will say if Lewis hadn't gone in the Ferrari seat, I could have definitely seen Ollie to Ferrari. Now, I know that's a huge jump, especially at his age, into a big seat like that, but hey, he killed it for Ferrari one race. Why not?
I mean, as far as Esteban goes, he is French. I feel like that alone says a lot. But as for rookies that I would love to see on the grid, I would love to see Liam Lawson. I need Red Bull to make a decision so that Liam either gets a seat in decarb, not Red Bull. I don't think he's ready for that yet. I think jumping into a Red Bull right away would be not a good idea. But if they're not going to put him anywhere, they need to tell him soon so they can let him go so he can sign with another team. Because I do think he could sign with another team. He did phenomenally last year when he was driving in place of Danny Rick, when Danny was still recovering from his wrist breaking. And I'm sure there are teams that want to sign him, but Red Bull has him just like under lock and key. And I don't really think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to Liam. I don't think it's really fair to the other teams. But we all know Red Bull isn't necessarily about playing fair.
Now, you know it's bad when the Red Bull girl is over the BS, but like, I really need Red Bull to either give Liam a chance, give him a more realistic timeline, or cut him free, because this kid has so much talent, but I don't know what good all of this waiting is really doing him, because he's really not doing a lot outside of just following VCarb around to races. Because unlike other drivers, he's not in WEC. He's not popping up in other series. So I'm just kind of like, why wait around for this team that's not 100% ready to bring you in? It's kind of like dating. Like, why would you keep pursuing somebody who's showing you that they're not 100% into you? Just go elsewhere. There's other fish in the sea. I don't know if I see him giving up on the dream of being a Red Bull driver a la Pierre energy, but I do think that if he left, he would thrive. I just don't know if he's ready to give up that pipe dream just yet.
So I will say, I don't consider myself a Red Bull girly as much as I know their team kicks ass. But I do think they need to get their shit together. Red Bull is, like, obviously a really great race team, but they're also so, like, heavy focused on the marketing that I feel like it's gotten to a point where sometimes it gets in the way of their driver decisions. Because, like, Checo, for example, great driver, obviously that's why he's in Formula One, but I feel like they also keep him because of the Latin American marketing they get off of him that they would completely lose without him unless they got another, Central America or South American driver. And also Danny, like, I love him, but I feel like he was put in some weird positions in the team just because he's so highly marketable, besides also being like a race winner. And Liam, I think, could be great for marketing, but I don't see Red Bull leaving who they have now, because, like, they have all their bases covered, they have all their fans covered, and yeah, maybe Checo isn't doing that well, but, like, in a full picture, Red Bull is still one of the top teams. They're just going over, like, a little hump right now.
I don't think Red Bull has made very clear decisions. And I really wish that once they made a decision, they stick to their gun. And clearly, to me, Liam is a no-brainer to the Red Bull family. And all the BS that Red Bull has been doing is honestly getting on my nerves. Like, really? What are you doing? Typically by now, all of their seats for VCarb and Red Bull are completely full. And they've been wavering on this last VCarb seat since the beginning of the season, and it's annoying me. Like, pick your driver, because everybody's up in the air and they don't know what their future looks like. And Liam to VCarb is really honestly the best decision for him right now in my eyes, because it gets the chance to really have a whole season to officially prove himself, which I have no doubt he won't do a terrible job. And then in a few years, he can move to Red Bull as a full-time seat. Great marketing, and it's Liam. He's great. No brainer. Sorry, Checo. In my opinion, it's time to go. But I'm also biased because I'm a huge Danny fan, and Danny to Red Bull, Liam to VCarb. It's a perfect shoe-in. It works out. It's a win-win for me. But as someone who was at COTA last year, I got to experience the crazy Checo fans and how much that man is really, really loved. And I think a lot of decisions Red Bull makes, like Chelsea said, is based solely on that decision. And I'm wondering if their eyes are just skewed in the wrong direction. Who knows?
Now, on the complete opposite side, we've got Kimi Antonelli. I have like one thing to say about him. I love him. I think he's adorable. I think he's a great driver. I think he has a lot of potential. He is a baby, and he needs to do at least one more season in F2 before he moves up into F1. For the love of God, put Paul Aaron in the seat before you put Kimi Antonelli in the seat. Kimi is a child.
I agree. It's honestly just too soon. And typically, that huge step without them being fully prepared, we've seen it with Nick. We see it with Logan. It's just not going to work out as much as we want it to. And I think Kimi needs another year of proving himself, another year experience before making that jump.
No, but like seriously, he's a literal child. I have said this before, and I will most definitely say this again. Toto Wolff has lost the plot if he actually thinks that putting Kimi Antonelli in a Mercedes seat is a good idea. I mean, the likelihood of the car getting absolutely wrecked within the first 4 races, to me, especially if you're putting a rookie in, is just insanely high. I know. Everybody thinks that Kimi is the next Max Verstappen. But skipping Formula 3 and doing in all honesty, a mid-job in F2 does not make a Formula 1 prodigy. The math just doesn't math to me. I really think it's a bad idea to put him in a Formula 1 car when he's still trying to understand an F2 car. And what most F2 drivers will tell you is that F2 cars are actually harder to drive than Formula 1 cars. So, like, give him more time with a more complicated car than putting him in a high-powered rocket, pretty much. That just feels unsafe, if I'm being really, really honest.
We should probably also acknowledge that Toto has been walking around with a contract for Max for like 5 years, I think he said. So anyone he signs should know that he can just do James Vowell as well and absolutely jump at the chance to replace them with his favorite driver, apparently. So that being said, don't mess up the kid's chances, and I think they should just throw him in another team. I don't think Williams would be the team for him.
Fully agree. Kimi is not ready for a high-level F1 team at all. Now, this is one that I really, really, really hope to see on the grid. I think he deserves a seat. I think he's done his waiting time. And that is Jack Doohan. With all of the rumors that have been going around that he is getting that second Alpine seat, I am hoping to God those rumors are true. He so deserves a seat, that seat. I would love to see another Aussie on the grid. I think he's adorable. He and Pierre are so funny when they have them when I have all 3 of them do the little PR stuff, because Lord knows we can't leave Esteban and Pierre together alone. And I think that he just has so much potential, and he's been waiting for so long. He deserves the chance 100%.
I will absolutely lose my ever-loving mind if this actually happens. Like, everybody will hear me scream. I'm sorry, guys, but it's just a fact. Do I really need another Aussie to support on the grid? No. Not really. I've already got 2, but I won't complain too much about it. I would still love to see Mick with Alpine, but I actually really like the idea of giving a true rookie a chance. I think Jack deserves a seat. I really don't see him going anywhere but Alpine. He's put in so much work with that team. It's kind of the only place that makes sense, but I will absolutely freak out when this announcement occurs.
Honestly, Alpine all the way. I don't think that's even a question. I'm so here for second chances, and I completely understand that, there are drivers out there that deserve it. But I think we have to remember that there are rookies that have never even gotten their first chance, and there's so many of them. Like female and male, which is another thing, and they're just waiting for their chance to get in a Formula 1 team and really go at it. And in my head, Jack and Alpine they go together. So I think if they're gonna lean anywhere, that's a great decision.
I am really hoping Jack finally gets a seat with Alpine. I'll mention this further in my predictions probably, but the man has put in the work. And Alpine deserves a team that truly honestly gets along and has a common goal to make the team great, which they don't currently have. And I think that having them work together can truly make Alpine go far.
Now, like so many of our episodes, we are going to do some predicting for the rest of the season. And we still have some open seats, and they are at Sauber, Mercedes, Alpine, and technically there is still an open seat at VCarb. I personally would love the concept of a rookie at Sauber with Nico Hülkenberg. I feel like Nico would be fantastic with a rookie. Maybe Liam finally decides to ditch the Red Bull pipe dream. I feel like Nico and Liam could actually be a really fun pairing. Jack to Alpine because, duh, it's the only logical option. Mercedes brings Mick Schumacher in and gives Kimi Antonelli the reserve driver contract for Mercedes and Alpine because that's a good way to get him exposure, and it's probably a safer option in my opinion. Danny either moves back to Red Bull Racing or he sticks with VCarb. Don't ask me why. It all makes sense to my brain. So I'm just going to run with it here.
I would love to see Mick back on the grid, period. I would love to see him at Sauber. I think it would work really well with the transition to Audi in 2026. I would, like I said, love to see him at Merc. I think either of them are great options for him. I really hope one of them gives him his second chance. I hope someone on the grid gives him his second chance. I think he really deserves one. Alpine needs to sign Jack. I think they know that. I think they should. I think they will. He's been loyal to the team. He's a good driver. And I think Danny is going to stay with Red Bull, whether that's at Red Bull Racing or VCarb. I think his days of leaving Red Bull for other teams are behind him. However, I could be wrong because silly season is the silliest of silly seasons. This is not even an expect the unexpected type of silly season because even the unexpected has nothing on the moves that we have seen this year. And we're like barely halfway through the season.
So obviously we're all on board here. We are hoping that Jack is an Alpine and no one can tell us otherwise. He's probably the rookie that I'm most excited about because I think he's the one that has the most chance of getting on the grid moving forward. Mercedes, here's my thing with Mercedes. Because it's a toss-up. Everyone here is right. Kimi is young, and I think if he goes into F1 now, he's going to mess up his experience because he's just going to start too early. And I hope he knows that. I hope his team knows that. Whatever. But to be honest, Mercedes is not a rookie team. So I actually want to see who they bring in that can handle their machinery, handle their team, not screw up their chances at getting a championship. And whoever's listening can tell me something, okay? I don't know where this is going, but where's Bottas going right now? Because maybe it's time to call up his little toxic ex, Mercedes, and see if there's anything there. Sometimes people change, and I think he just needs to see how they're doing.
I mean, we don't know where Valtteri Bottas is going to go. He doesn't know where he is going to go. I have actually floated this theory before, Chels, and I really hope that you and I are right and that he boomerangs it and goes back to Mercedes for a year, maybe 2, and retires, because we know that he's going to eventually leave F1 and go do cycling of some form. But please, not a rookie in a Mercedes. No, that's just bad.
Yeah, we're gonna steer the rookies away from there. Anyways, now Liam, I think Liam is also another one that actually maybe could have a valid chance. Not that I really see Danny going anywhere, but Liam I think should have his chance in VCarb. I think he's proved himself obviously in the past. He has the right in my head to get a standing chance to freaking fight for that seat, because I think it's going to be good for everything they want. He's all around guy. Got the marketing, got the fan base, got the skills, hopefully. And I think he's my fave option for them if they were to change up anything in their seat rotation.
I'm on the fence here. As I listen to Amy, Rachel, and Chels, say their predictions. I'm over here going, Mick would do very well at Sauber because it's a good first step back into the F1 world. I would love to see him at Mercedes. I'm not saying don't wish that into the universe. I feel like Sauber/Audi would be good, and they do talk about wanting an all-German team, and so it is a Swiss/German company, so I feel like it would work very well, and they could be having their eye on him, but he could just be up in the fence just due to the fact that he's holding out for Mercedes and Toto. Going on to Liam, I feel like he would be good to Red Bull, and I would hate for them to lose a good one, in my opinion, because Liam is a very good person and a good driver. So I would lean towards VCAR for me if Danny moves to Red Bull, or maybe even vice versa and do a complete toss-up. As long as they're both still in the F1 world, I'll be fine. And then TBH, silly season has been going crazy just in this year that we have, and we have just gotten started on true silly season, so who knows. Jack, I am so happy that he could finally be in an F1 seat. I'm wishing that into the universe because it's going to happen. That man has paid his dues, supported the team for years, and now is finally potentially being given the chance to prove himself, and he appears to be getting along with Pierre. So it will be good versus a current teammate that has a bit of tit for tat. Now, Mercedes is just interesting to me. Like I mentioned, up above, I believe Mick would be great and deserves it, but Kimi looks to be on track to get the seat from all the rumors. And while Kimi is a good driver, I really honestly would love Mick to finally get a chance with the team. And I feel like they would treat him right to a degree, but again, Toto, don't give me those shady vibes, please. Please, I can't do this with all you team drivers, team principals, doing that. My psyche can't handle it. But we will honestly see what the rest of the season holds. Those are my predictions. I feel like I have more, but we'll leave it be.
Now, to close us out, our moment of the weekend. For me, it has to be Gunter Steiner doing the brat dance on his Instagram. That was absolutely hilarious, and I feel like it just encapsulates the vibes of every F1 fan, just like sitting around waiting for all of this stuff to happen, all of the silly season news to come out, just absolutely dissociating with all of the insanity going on this season, this break. We're just vibing, trying to get through it.
Who doesn't love a rookie check-in? While they may not be true rookies, we want to know your predictions on the new rookies that could be coming in. Make sure to drop a comment on our socials. Everywhere we are Paddock Girls Podcast, except on Twitter, where we are Paddock Girls Pod. Thank you for joining us in the paddock while we get through the summer break together. We will see you in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.